What's up, everybody? This is Nick, and you're listening to the flagship podcast of the Pull Up a Chair Network. This little corner of the web we like to call, just a friendly place to talk about nostalgia, things that interest you, all that kind of stuff. I am here once again with my friend and 80's guru himself, my co-host.
This is Eric. Yeah, this is Eric right here.
And that's him, ladies and gentlemen. He said it. He's right here.
I'm right here.
And Eric, we got a few things we need to get to today.
Hey, Nick. I feel like we missed something last week. I feel like a segment didn't get addressed.
Wait a second. Something didn't happen last week?
I know things happened. Was that the pain cast when we were both hurting?
That was the pain cast.
I did put it out in video. I just put the image you generated as the video. Yeah, I feel like you missed a segment.
What a great, let me just point out what a great image I came up with.
You did. It was fantastic.
What segment, Eric?
There was a segment. You said you were doing a segment on this day in history.
This day in history.
I love how you do that where we could edit that in, but you just do it yourself.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is that time again where I tell you a little something that happened in the 80s this day in history. Well, actually, Eric, we are changing that segment quite just a little bit.
Completely, I guess. I don't know what's going on. He just does whatever he wants right now.
It's not this day in history.
Whatever it is.
It's this day, 7 days.
This past week in history.
This week in history. Not the past week, the upcoming, because we're doing this like on a Wednesday. I'm talking about in the future. Anyway, October 19th, 1983. Do you know, where were you, sir?
83.
Where were you?
I was 83. I was
pooping in your diaper. That's right.
I was 4 years old.
Just like yesterday.
No longer in a diaper. I only wore a diaper for 6 months. After that, my parents threw me outside, and I was told to learn to use the restroom appropriately and or not come back in. So I was. So I learned within another 2 or 3 days. It was winter when I got kicked out, and I was at the age of I think 8 months that I was able to come back in the house.
Right. This sounds much like my childhood. Please keep going.
So 83. What October?
October 19th.
Okay.
1983. 83.
Okay.
83.
That was the day before my brother turned, I want to say 8. We were preparing for his party. His theme was girls gotta be girls. I think was his theme. I hope one day my brother listens to my podcast. And I think we were decorating.
Girls just want to have fun. Was that his thing?
Well, it was,
girls just want to.
That was the song.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember what I said. Okay, that's what I was
said.
doing.
Girls.
Want to be girls.
Want to be girls.
So that's it. That's all I got.
Well, my friend, had you remembered that day correctly,
okay,
you would remember that there was actually a holiday put on the books that day. It was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, was instituted on October 19th, 1983.
Okay.
Happy birthday, by the way, Martin Luther King Jr. Day.
Oh, so you're giving a happy birthday, not to Martin Luther King Jr., but to Martin Luther King Jr. Day. The birthday of the day.
Well, yeah, I mean, you picked
I like
up,
that. I like that. I'm all for that.
You picked up on that rather quickly. I can appreciate that.
Isn't it the 500th anniversary of Martin Luther King's 95 thesis? 95
500th
birthday.
No, Martin Luther King Jr., not Martin
I'm saying,
Luther.
Well, you already got Martin Luther King Jr. Day birthday. I'm talking about Martin Luther's 95 thesis.
The man who nailed the things to the door of the church.
Yeah, isn't that like right soon? 500 thesis? 95 thesis, 500th birthday or something like that?
Man, I don't know.
I would figure you would know with your background.
Well, I've forgotten. This is
okay.
all stuff that sometime
just goes away.
You forget.
No, 100% agree.
I'd have to look that up. I don't remember certain dates anymore. But
certain dates.
October 19th, 1983, Senate establishes Martin Luther King Jr. as a federal holiday.
Oh, cool.
So it was a big day.
Thanks for the day off.
And it's something that has stuck around
Till now?
Yeah, until now. But I mean, it's been something that has come to represent quite a lot for this country.
Yeah. More now than I don't know. Since I don't remember back then, maybe the gravity of the day is actually of that holiday has grown more. You think, or is it just?
I think so.
I would think so too.
I think so. I mean, it's something that definitely has. I mean, honestly, with a lot of the political climate nowadays and other things, it has definitely been a source of comfort for a lot of people.
That's cool. I like that.
Also on this day in 1983, the Philadelphia Flyers began a 13 NHL game win streak. I don't know if that's good or not because I don't follow the NHL.
Is that National
Hockey
Jockey League?
Hockey League.
Hockey. What's hockey?
Hockey is the sport where you play it on ice and people
like where you skate for figures. And, you do pretty jumps.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's it. But you have to hit a puck or something. I don't know.
Never played it.
It's popular by the Canadians. But anyway, that was your This Week in History.
All right. Fantastic.
Eric, I have a question for you, sir.
Bring it.
Do we have a podcast?
Oh, man, I completely forgot again.
That we are promoting for one of our friends out there?
I put one in last week. I did put one in, yeah.
Okay.
I have another one. No, give me a second. How about you talk for a second?
Well, you know what, Eric? I just think that this right here is a perfect spot to put our good friends at.
Hey Warriors, this is Elijah Bailey.
And Malcolm White.
And we are Hoya the Warrior Way Podcast.
A podcast exploring the warrior journey in today's society.
Yes, make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Hoya Warrior Way. Also on Facebook at the official Hoya the Warrior Way podcast page. And then send your emails to hoyawarriorway@gmail.com.
Hoya, 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 Hoya.
And that was them. Man, they were, you know what? They're good people. Those are just good people. Good people over at that insert podcast here. Over at that podcast.
Yeah, they're great. I was actually going to pull up a podcast like, oh yeah, I was going to do one of Elijah's.
No, I like referring to them as that podcast. That podcast is good.
It speaks directly to who you are, not you, but people who relate to that subject matter so perfectly.
But you know what? I'm going to move on to an exciting topic.
What topic are we moving on? Why do you make me feel so bad? I completely forgot about my podcasting duties, to be honest with you. And you make me feel horrible.
Why do I make you feel horrible?
You just do.
I'm here to help you.
You don't help me. You make me sad and you make me feel bad about myself.
I am hearing you say I make you feel bad, but I am here to remind you, Eric.
Yeah, remind me.
There are podcasts out there that other people need to listen to. That, you know what? Go out into this great podcast world and let them know. No, you know what? Let the world of podcasting know that you enjoy their podcast. Go out and listen to other podcasts. Respond to them. Tell them how they're doing. And really just get out there. But Eric, we're going to move on to something. I am very excited. As you know, I am a diehard fan.
Of what? What are you a diehard fan of?
I'm a diehard fan.
Of what?
I'm a diehard fan.
I'm not stupid. I understand that you are a fan of something so intensely that you are passionate about this subject that you're just refusing to talk about.
No, I'm a diehard fan. I like the movie Die Hard.
Oh, the movie Die Hard. Oh.
We had a pretty good little Who's on First routine going on there, buddy. I really appreciated that.
The podcast this week that we are promoting is Hooyah Warrior Way podcast by Elijah Wood. Elijah My buddy Elijah. I can't remember his last name right now.
Elijah Bailey.
Bailey. There it is. Bailey. By Bailey Entertainments.
You
A
know
local
what?
guy for us.
You know what, Elijah? Just a
He
quick
got a lot.
shout
He
out.
got a lot of promo. He got several minutes of promo. He better
He
be
did.
thanking me.
He did.
All right.
All right. So there is a new Die Hard movie coming out. Now,
Die Hard 26.
Now, if you have watched the movies of Die Hard,
I've watched all of them.
Die Hard 1 was good. Die Hard 2 was
It was all right.
not as good. Die Hard 3 was good.
Is that the one? Where's one in the for the plane and the
That
snow?
was Die Hard 2.
That one was kind of odd.
That one was odd. It was different. Die Hard 3 was the one where he ran through the city, but it turns out it was actually the brother of the part 1 bad guy, Hans Gruber.
Uh-huh.
So that was
was
kind of a cool one. 4 was an okay movie. I mean,
Never seen it.
4 was a pretty good movie. 5
I just remember.
was a dumpster fire.
Oh, the fourth one, I remember the car being launched into the helicopters. That's my memory.
That was a cool scene. I will admit that.
And I remember lots of gunfire.
Well, that is a Die Hard movie.
It's just gunfire constantly.
Die Hard 5 was a terrible movie.
Why? What do you think made it bad?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happened in that movie. Let's
lots of
start
stuff
off
happens
with
in movies.
Let's start off with Jai Courtney, horribly cast as John McClane's son. Then we move on to things like going and just they're having a casual walk in Chernobyl.
Chernobyl, yeah.
Yeah, without any radiation suits, because turns out you don't need them there. Whole thing.
Chernobyl.
This whole yeah.
I mean, they got the sarcophagus around it. I've seen several people go to Chernobyl. A lot of YouTubers go there and film stuff.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but they went to the center of it where everything
Oh, there's this thing in the middle of Chernobyl. I forget what it's called. It's really cool. But go ahead.
Could have been a cool storyline, but let's move on. Die Hard 6. Die Hard 6, people. This is something that I'm actually kind of excited for. It's going to have Bruce Willis in it, but from what I understand, it is going to be going back and forth between John McClane's first case in 1979 as an NYPD beat cop, and it will explore basically what made him the man he was in 1988 when he took on the Nakatomi Plaza building incident, as we all remember from the news broadcast that happened.
Oh, well, that's going to be pretty neat. So you're telling me that they're shooting a movie, and whenever it's going to come out next year after 2020, looking back to the 80s?
They are going to be going back
Are they trying
to the year right before the 80s, yes.
Oh, 1979, the year I was born.
Yes.
Wonderful year. There was a natural disaster that year. The world's greatest baby was born. It was not me. It was another kid. But I mean, he's cool too.
Jimmy on the street.
Jimmy on the street.
Thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, thank you, buddy.
Yeah, that's cool. So you're saying going back to a different time, a better time, maybe some people say, a time that seems to be making a re-emergence now is going to make that movie better?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting because Bruce Willis is in this movie. He will be.
Is he playing the past self also?
Yes.
Oh,
he's going to play John McClane. Basically, the way they're portraying John McClane is he is Benjamin Button. He is aging backwards. So now they're going to claim that you're supposed to watch 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. That is the proper order to watch. No, he's going to basically, from what I understand, is that there's a possibility that it may just be bookend scenes kind of explaining him, or there is going to be a case that current day John McClane is working that intersects with this storyline from his past.
well, that sounds entertaining.
It could be. It could be if it's done very well, it could be entertaining.
Here's what I say. I'm no stranger to media. I've watched television, movies, anime, cartoons, forever. What I've found in my many, many hours of viewing and years of watching is it's not always about who's acting, or the subject matter. It's about how well the story progresses and how much you feel involved in the story in a way that's like how it draws you in. Like most of the problems in bad movies is I don't care about the characters. The storylines are erratic. Character development is nothing. And because I've watched, especially in anime, I've literally watched hundreds of hours of animes about benign topics. Like
this is true.
Like the game of Go.
Yeah.
There's a huge series of animes about the game of Go, and you watch a kid play the game of Go, which is a Japanese Asian game.
It's basically Asian checkers.
Asian
right? Chess.
Chess. Come on, chess. Yeah, well, there's a chess version in Japan, but it's a strategy game for laying tiles down practically, or small stones. And I've watched that show. I mean, hundreds of hours of these shows of just about weird subject matters. I believe any subject. You can do a subject on basket weavers of 1812, and it can be interesting if the writing's done well, the directing's done well. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be, someone's got to care about it. All right, that's it.
Well, and it's Die Hard. People are going to care about it.
I mean the people working on it.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they bring in a good writer, a good director, I got to double check who the director is of this one. I believe it's the guy that did, director Lynn Wiseman, who did Die Hard 4, is coming back for this one.
Well, this goes back to was it Beverly Hills Cop 4? We talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Beverly Hills Cop 4 that they're working on.
But Eddie Murphy keeps nixing the scripts because he says they're not good enough.
Which I respect.
Which I do too.
You want to give it the proper due because the movies were so loved. The audience deserves something that's good.
Yeah,
unlike
exactly.
Die Hard 5 or the 3 prequels of Star Wars, they don't. Yeah. Yeah, I mean they don't
feel
live
connected.
up.
Yeah.
You want something, especially if you're going to do something years and years later. If you're going to dust off a character, you're going to dust off a franchise. You want it to be something that people will. A sequel or something that people will look at and say, okay, this is what I expected.
I got one for you. Fletch
Lives. And Fletch 2 was not as good.
No, not as good. Fletch is very good.
Fletch is very good. Very funny.
Very funny. Would you watch a Fletch Lives again or a...
I thought it was just Fletch.
Fletch Lives is the second one.
Right.
I don't think there was a third one, was there?
No.
I
don't think there was.
Well, but what if they made a third one? You think they could do that like they do with Eddie Murphy? You think...
You talking about going back and do a prequel Fletch movie?
Oh, we don't have to do a
Young
prequel.
Fletch?
No, do like Fletch 3 and just have Chevy Chase come back in his old form to reprise his role as an old man. And was he a detective or some sort? Yeah,
he's a detective.
So it's always like he's a detective, but it's like he's so unnatural at it. That's what makes it funny. I always have when you say Beverly Hills Cop, I always think of Fletch because I watched both those movies. I think in the same weekend. Several times, but I'd watch one then the other. Almost
you watch
every time.
Fletch and Beverly Hills Cop?
Yeah, during
the same weekend.
Like at home.
Man, that is way too much gritty crime drama.
Also,
for me.
I'd watch another one, Naked Gun.
Naked Gun was now. That's one where Naked Gun 1 was good. I will say that series.
They're all funny.
They're all funny, but Naked Gun was definitely the funniest.
It has a young budding actor in that movie. He recently was released from penitentiary.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Good for him.
Good for him. Yeah.
Good for him.
O.J. Simpson was in Naked Gun.
He was.
Naked Gun 2, I think.
And I believe he's actually in all 3.
Is he in the third one too?
I believe so.
Interesting.
I believe.
I really want to go watch Naked Gun right now. The scene that I remember watching that I didn't get till much later was when the main character, what was his name? I'm losing it.
Wait, Leslie Nielsen, Frank Drebin?
Yeah. When the lady goes up the ladder and he's looking up her skirt and he goes, "Nice beaver," and then she passes the stuffed beaver down.
Right.
Nice. And I didn't get that for years. I mean, it took. I I think until I was a teenager to understand that one.
Which, by the way, Norberg, O.J. Simpson was in all 3 movies.
Oh, cool. Cool for Korea. Cool. So you think a Naked Gun, Leslie Nielsen's passed.
Yeah, I was going to say Naked Gun. You can't have a Naked Gun
44 and a fourth.
4 because there is no other, and nobody else that could play the
I don't
Leslie
want to
Nielsen.
say that. There's nobody else.
Well,
I'm sure
no,
there's someone who
I don't
could.
think there's anybody that could fill the shoes of Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, I mean, comedy timing. His timing was so well done. His just straight man comedy, so good.
Oh no, he played it. He played it so well. But this isn't a Nielsen cast. It is. We're just talking about.
We just get on movies. This is actually not even the topic of tonight's
But
show.
let's go back to this. Hang on. We are talking about a movie that is taking a character, beloved character that we have seen many movies of, that began in the 80s, but it's taking him back to the year right before the 80s. It's basically going back in time to the 80s. So the question Eric asked tonight, and it is a question that I believe that it has some relevance. Is the 1980s oversaturating current media? Eric,
I didn't ask that question. That's
discuss.
That's the topic of tonight, of the podcast tonight. Really was is 80s saturating media?
Well, let me ask you this: in what ways is 80s saturating media?
Well,
what things do you have to back up, sir? I am laying this at your feet and saying, sir, prove to me that the 80s are here.
Well, obviously, I mean, the new horror film It, set in the 80s. We have Guardian of the Galaxy and the second one. I haven't seen the second one yet. I'm sure it's loaded with 80s, little memorabilias and various little things. We have Stranger Things, which is based out of the 80s. What else is there? Not counting the Goldbergs.
Yeah.
Based out of the 80s, which I'm trying to get into. I keep catching bits and pieces, but I want to start from the beginning.
Right.
So I understand the jokes.
Let me just say, the Goldbergs is one that takes like most shows, it takes a season before it really picks up. I mean,
really?
The first season is funny, but it's one that it gets better as the seasons go on. But that's neither here nor there. However, I will agree with you that there's a lot of things from the 80s that are popping back up. There are things like the iHeartRadio I Love the 80s tour, or I Heart the 80s tour, that had such acts as New Kids on the Block, Rick Astley, Rick Rolled, Eddie Money and more were all a part of this. This is something I'm thinking they're going to probably do another one. Let's see. There was UB40 was on this, Men at Work, Rick Astley, Starship, Eddie Money, Night Ranger, Mickey Colin Hay, Astro and Mickey, Colin Hay of the Men at Work. There was a lot of, and then MTV personality Martha Quinn hosted it. But I mean, this is something that, yes, was another 1980s throwback that came back. Now, we also have things like DuckTales.
Yeah.
Muppet Babies came back. I don't know which it is at this point.
I thought it was next year.
Was it next year?
Slated to come out. That's going from memory. It's been a month or two since we talked about that.
But I mean, there's
a bunch of good cartoons from the 80s are always big. I mean, there's cartoons we still watch from the 80s.
Well, and as we talked about last week, there are a lot of things that...
hell's bells. Don't get me started on 80s clothing. I work in higher ed.
Yeah.
And so I work in higher education, so I see a lot of college-aged people. And the print on shirts, like the girls that have their sorority shirts on that for different events, I wanted to take a picture of this girl's shirt the other day, but I didn't want to be pervy. But I wanted to hey, we need a shirt like this for nostalgia, for our show, for a
right.
podcast. This is the font and the style. This is the everything. The coloring was perfect. This is what we need for one of our shirts. merchandise to come later. And I was just like, this is it. But I didn't want to walk up to the girl and go, hey, can I take a picture of your chest? And, that didn't seem appropriate. So I just went up and touched it to make sure the fabric was okay.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
Well,
I don't work there anymore
That's
now.
the appropriate way of doing things. And you know what? If you don't work there anymore, I feel sorry for that place. It has one less piece of joy to bring that campus. But no,
It's insane. It is like I see these girls walking around. I go, this does not feel like the year 2017. It like the style, the jeans, the way the jeans are cut, and the way they roll them, and the shirts, and just the hair.
well, I was gonna say when
80s.
big hair is not back yet.
No,
but
it's not back.
When it comes back, if it comes back, or shoulder pads aren't back completely.
I hope they don't come back. I hate those.
But I mean, they show up, but they're not back completely. But if they do, it's going to be bonkers.
Another cartoon that was not very
That was
good.
not in the 80s.
That's not in the 80s. Not a very good cartoon either.
But I
It's
mean,
okay.
there's a lot of things that a lot of franchises from the 80s that are coming back. You have, I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, like you said, has some 80s nostalgia to it. Then even Thor Ragnarok, which
Yeah.
you brought back, is being described. The director described it as an 80s buddy cop movie type deal, or
Tango and Cash.
right.
Or 48 Hours.
Oh man, please don't bring up the classics. It makes me tear up just thinking about them.
Tango and Cash was pretty good.
Tango and Cash was the greatest cinematic achievement of our lifetime, sir.
I like that. That's a bit much. But
You
still not
sir,
bad.
you watch yourself. The Academy Award baby Tango and Cash is not something you should speak ill of. I'm hoping for a Tango and Cash dose.
Okay, I'm trying to think.
It's actually both of them just in the nursing home.
Yeah, it's Stallone and
Kurt
Russell.
man.
Yeah, Kurt
Kurt
Russell.
Russell. It can
Is
happen.
Kurt Russell doing anything right now?
Well, he was just in that. He was just in that Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, that's right. I haven't seen it, man. Like I just said, I haven't seen it. Have you
Well,
seen it?
I haven't seen it, but I know it.
I know
it happened.
When I say I haven't seen something, I usually don't watch any. Very rarely do I watch trailers unless it's for this show. I don't watch sneak peeks and nothing. I love going into movies blind. If someone says, "Hey, that's a good movie," I go, "That's all I need to know."
He's a part of possibly the greatest franchise to ever grace the
Tango and
silver
Cash.
screen. No, that's not a franchise.
Well, there's a lot of fanfic about it.
There is. But I'm talking about the Fast and the Furious movies.
Oh, he's in that?
Oh, buddy, he's been in 7 and apparently part 8.
Okay.
And I'm sad for you for not knowing that.
You're sad for me. Thank you.
I am sad that you, sir, did not know that. I feel sorry for you. I just knew that off the top of my head.
You're an amazing individual, Nick.
I mean, I don't-
cannot compare to you.
I don't like to brag, but thank you, Wikipedia, for, just backing up what I already know.
So
But-
back to this.
I mean, he's doing stuff.
Back to this. Is there too much 80s stuff in your opinion, Nick? Is there too much 80s stuff now?
Eric, that's asking me if there's too much sky. Or if
I like that. There's too much sky.
there's just too much, too much sun to go around.
I gotcha.
Eric, I don't believe there can be such a thing as too much 80s.
Okay.
Because everyone wants to relive their childhood.
Well, what I'm saying
And I'm
is,
getting the chance too.
I agree. But here's the thing. We always make fun of other countries. Like, oh, they're stuck in the 80s or they're stuck in the 70s or no.
I want to clarify something. Nick does not make fun of other countries. I believe that all of us are created equal.
There's
and that
nothing
the
about being
children
equal.
Children are the future.
That's
Make them laugh and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride.
That song was a collaboration with a bunch of artists, very famous artists, obviously, and all the proceeds went to feed the children, I think. And that's cool and all. Collectively, I hated that song. Good song. into like a good lyrics. I just hated all the artists as a whole. There's so many different styles.
Well, it was. I mean, it's been
That's the point.
It's been sung by a bunch of different people, but I mean, let's. This is not the children's cast either, but
I don't know what that cast would be about.
let's not talk about it. That
Well, here's my thing: is
that podcast is done out of the back of a van by a very creepy man.
so. Here's the thing. We have the 80s making a reassure. What is that word I'm looking for? I can't. Resurgence. I am having a hard time. Resurgence.
Words are hard.
And nowadays, the 80s are coming back. They're coming back hard, coming back fast. Or are they here already?
I think they're already here.
Me too. A lot of countries stopped in the 80s. The 80s culture, when it went out, they go, this is the best. We are staying here. America can move on. 80s is where it lives. We're going back to the 80s because that's the truth.
You know, I'm sorry, I forgot. Full House is another 80s.
89. Did it start in 89?
I think so. It's another nostalgia throwback that seems to, be coming back. But no, I agree with you. It is something, but this is something that has happened a lot. I mean, there was a while where, when we were growing up or when we were adults, things like the 70s.
60s were huge.
60s were huge. 70s were huge there for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we've gone back into a time loop and we have this, just like the man from 2048 to warn us about the No, I'm sorry.
That's a Micromedia Lightning cast. When's that one coming out? That should be out already.
I think it is already out.
That should have been the last one.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that guy came from the future. They
as a
time
flux
travel,
capacitor.
Yeah, they time traveled through alcohol, but he was completely wasted. So he must have came a long ways back. So here we go. 80s. It's the greatest of all eras. What it seems like about in the 90s, I remember a lot of 60s and 70s stuff. Like when we did school themed parties, like dances and stuff, it was always based a little sometimes in the 50s, a little sock hop or something. Typically in the 60s, like my yearbook, I think the theme of my yearbook is "Don't Worry, Be Happy." Oh man, when did that come out?
I forgot about that song. Don't worry,
and be
happy.
Yeah.
Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, let's see. That was is a popular hit song released September 1988.
Yep.
That was when it was released. Yeah, recorded in 1980. Apparently it was released in September 1988, 89, and 2000, according to... really at the time, it's... According to Wikipedia, which can't seem to make up its mind, it was just... it was a song that...
that came out.
That came out many different times, apparently.
That was a big song when I graduated in 1998, same as you, right, Nick?
That is right.
Even though I am your elder by a few months.
You are, sir.
Yeah. But
and so I treat you as such.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, right.
Well, I point out when you're forgetful, old man.
And I'm glad you point my flaws out.
Fight the power. Anyway.
But yeah, that was big. I've not seen it. I don't remember. Like the 90s to me was all like grunge. That was 9 Inch Nails and all that spawned the whole grunge era out of Seattle.
Which that stuff is becoming popular again.
But the thing is, I don't think it went away.
Well, but I mean, there's people I've talked to that their kids are wanting their clothes. I think this now that one generation is stuck in the 80s. It's like this younger generation, this new high school generation, is
the college age is 80s right now.
College age is 80s. 90s is like the high school age kids.
Really? I don't know a lot of high schoolers right now.
It's odd to me. It's because what's going to happen is, okay, does 2000 come next, and what does that look like?
I don't even know what that looks like.
Is it a rinse and repeat thing? Or have we reached a point where nostalgia is like all we have left? Because new styles, new ways of doing things, new storylines, have they all already been done? And so now we're just,
There's nothing new under the sun.
there's nothing new under the sun. Well,
Well, I'm trying to think. What are the style like when someone's not wearing some sort of 80s style?
they're naked. You're right.
Well,
That's-
we talked a little bit off mic about I work in higher ed. The amount of skin I see on a day-to-day basis is insane. And I don't even mean from girls sometimes. There's guys showing a lot of interesting clothing choices at times. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what this, like, to me, that if I was going to say, what is the quintessential style right now? Activewear. The yoga pants thing for girls. That's all they wear. That or shorts.
But I mean, that's similar to like and you and I talked about this a little last.
The leotard stuff.
Like, yeah, it's similar to the leotard stuff of the 80s.
Yeah, all the spandex.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's the thing is, don't worry, be happy, Eric.
I'm not
'Cause
worried.
The 80s are back again. No, I find it fascinating because, you know, you look at Hollywood in movies that are coming out, there's, in some ways, there's no new storylines. And that's something that people have talked about for years, is that Hollywood keeps redoing the same movies.
Well, I will say it's not solely about movies, but you recommended a show to me on Netflix. It's the Holistic Detective Guy.
Yeah.
That was very neat. It seemed partially like I've heard of it before, but it was like two concepts, like detective plus psych. Well, that's been done a bunch too. But
that was once again,
based on a book.
it was based on a book
Yeah.
by the guy who did Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, that's right.
And that movie, that series
Good series.
has been made into movies before.
Oh, it has?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
The Dirk Gently movies have.
Wow, I didn't know that. I'm not
Yeah.
going to watch them because I like the Netflix version.
Oh well, no, it wasn't Netflix. It was on Hulu.
The Hulu
It was a BBC series, and
It's good.
It was very, very good.
It's
Well,
very good.
it was apparently it was a series of co-production between BBC America and Netflix, who did it. But it was very, very good. Maybe it was Netflix that did it, that we watched it on. I don't remember. It was Netflix or Hulu. Go watch it. It's a great series.
Really good.
Yeah, the second season should be good. But once again, it's from a book that has been, the movies have been made, and it's something that it's been done before. And so, but except this time they put it into a longer format is all they did, which people seem to be doing a lot of, because we even have like a Lethal Weapon series right now, which is another movie from the 80s. There's a trend right now. There's a trend right now where you take movies or franchises of the 80s and you make them into a series.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, I don't know that there is, I mean, I don't know. The saturation of the 80s, I can't say that there is. I don't know. I don't seem bothered by it.
I'm not bothered at all. Do I think it's over? No. I do. Will it fade out? Maybe. Maybe,
Well,
but I don't think it will fade out anytime soon.
I don't think so either. I think it will last for a little while longer. Then you'll have like 90s nostalgia, which 90s nostalgia has already been happening there. I mean, along with the We Love the 80s tour, there was like I Heart the 90s or whatever it was. I mean, there's 90s nostalgia is already kind of becoming a thing, and I don't know. I don't know that it's going to go away anytime soon. I don't know that, honestly, part of me feels like the trend is going to reset again, and you will see like the 60s come back, the 60s style, the 70s style, then we'll see 80s style again and 90s. And, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, with the internet now, you don't have to go to your grandparents or your parents to understand what those decades were like.
Mm-hmm.
With the amount of media and the internet, I can go Google 1965. Know everything. Know the clothing. Know what was popular. Know absolutely. Without ever going to a library and studying it, I can know as much as I want to know about any decade. Does that ruin the reemergence of those decades? Because it takes away from learning from the generations that had come before to just, hey, this is popular. I'll go look it up, buy some clothes that look like it, or go to Goodwill or make some clothes that look similar to it. And now I'm part of the nostalgia, but you're really not, because you don't understand what you're doing. And that's fine if you're just like, hey, I want to wear what looks like 80s clothes. Half the time, I don't think they realize their 80s styles. I don't think they understand their 80s styles, fonts and colors.
Why do I feel like you're the old man on your porch going, hey, you kids, get out of my clothes or get off my lawn?
Hey,
my 1980s lawn. I was here first.
No, I'm not griping. It's fine. If you love the 80s culture and style and you just don't realize it, fine.
Take your version of the DuckTales and your version of the Muppet Babies and get off my lawn.
I'm sure there's things that I'm like, oh, this is quintessential 80s, and it's really something from the 70s, 60s, or later. I'm sure there's something like that.
Look, whenever they reboot Crocodile Dundee, that's when I'll start caring.
Oh, man. I love that. That would be great.
It's time, people. It's time. I am calling for the reboot of some of the 80s greatest characters. I'm calling for Crocodile Dundee. I don't want a sequel. Look, Paul Hogan has had his time. It is time for a new actor to step into the Crocodile.
Paul Logan.
Paul Hogan.
Paul Logan should be it, the YouTube guy.
Oh, Paul Logan. Yes, we should get him. Or PewDiePie.
PewDiePie. Another foreigner. Foreigners keep taking all our American. Well, he was a foreigner too. So.
He can make some anti-Semitic Anyway.
He's not.
He's not.
That's all blown out of proportion.
It is. But I am calling for some of the greatest shows. I want a Knight Rider reboot where I want a Max Headroom reboot. That is the greatest 80s thing that... Do you not remember Max Headroom? Wait a second, sir. Are you having to look up
I remember
Max Headroom?
It's like, yeah, I remember who he is.
This man right here, the artificial intelligence character, 1984, that you're having to look up. He is the quintessential...
Well, he repeats himself and feels like he's stuck and all that stuff. Yeah.
He is a...
I don't think him as quintessential at all, though. Really, do you?
No, I don't. Once again, there's a lot of things that from the 80s. I want to see a Max Headroom reboot. I want to see... I mean, they just did Blade Runner with 2049.
I didn't hear good things.
I heard it was extremely long. Anyway,
I don't watch it.
We can't give a review. It's getting good reviews online.
I heard they made it look like the original, like really good.
Well, that's what I heard.
I heard that aesthetically it looks like the original movie. I didn't really like the original Blade Runner. I don't know if I'm in the minority in that. I didn't really enjoy it. I guess I didn't understand it. I know some people that really enjoy it, talk a lot about it, but not me.
Currently holds an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's not too bad.
No, it's doing quite well.
I probably won't watch it. I guarantee I'll watch it.
I want Max Headroom 2049. I want Knight Rider
2084.
I want Knight Rider rebooted. Bring back Feeney, but reboot it. Get rid of the Hoff. Hoff's had his day.
We need a new. So we need a new set of 80s characters.
Well, we need a new set of 80s icons.
We do, and we need those.
we need a modern day Stallone or Schwarzenegger.
100%. I 100% agree.
Who dominate with every movie they make, with such classics as Commando and
Conan the Barbarian,
and Cobra. Let's not forget the 80s classic
Cobra,
the Sylvester Stallone classic movie. Get this. I know. Original storyline here.
Oh yeah.
Rogue Cop goes up against Axe Gang or Axe Cult. I'm sorry. it.
You know, there were lots of cult movies. Like 80s was all about cults. Like cults. Dragnet was about a cult.
Yeah.
Cobra, which I've never watched Cobra. It's a thriller action series. It's got a 5.7 on IMDb and a whopping 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The acting in this movie is stellar.
I remember seeing this, like, I'm the cassette on the shelf. I
Yeah.
remember seeing it.
Oh, buddy.
And even back in those days, I was like, I'm not getting this. I'm not getting it. I'll go get this movie about some ski resort that's getting closed down and they're having a contest to save it. There's like 18 of those movies. I'll go watch one of those.
Well, buddy, that storyline's been done to death. I mean, how many movies do you know where a cop goes up against an axe cult? Sir, I dare you to name one that isn't Cobra.
You dare me. I fail that then. I fail.
Oh, yeah. You want to know why? Because everyone fails that. There is only one axe cult movie where a rogue cop goes up against it.
An axe cult.
Buddy, it is pretty much, that's the rundown of the movie. Do you want the actual?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I'm 100% fine with not knowing that ever.
It is now considered a cult classic, but buddy, it
made a bunch of money though. Its budget was $25 million. It made $160 million though. That's really good.
It rode on the star power of Mr. Sylvester Stallone.
The Italian stallion himself. If you don't know where that name came from, Sylvester Stallone did pornography.
Did he?
Yeah.
I thought it was actually from Rocky.
No, this is porn name.
Because they used that term in Rocky. The Italian stallion is what they called him in the Rocky movie. So
he was in porn, I think.
I don't know. We can't. You're saying Rocky Balboa was in porn. I know.
Not Rocky.
I've seen the movies.
See if it's true. It's here's on Snopes. True. Sylvester Stallone did indeed get his first movie acting role in a porn movie called Party at Kitty and Studs. The movie came out in 1970 when Sly was but 24 years old, living in Hell's Kitchen, New York City, and working a variety of menial jobs, including cinema usher, while trying to break into the movies.
And you know what? Many have said that that's in his top 3 movies that he ever made. This movie was.
The Italian Stallion, presumably a reference to the protagonist's nickname in Rocky. I guess that's just from Rocky. The credits show that the rights to the X film are owned by Stallone Enterprises. Okay, so he bought
Stallion
Enterprises. So
not Stallone. So yeah, sir, you were right. I did not. You were wrong about the Italian Stallion. I didn't know if he was in porn or not. I've been educated.
Oh, they re-released it. They re-released. Okay,
you know what? Deigned 80s nostalgia, bringing back.
Party at Kitty and Studs was re-released as The Italian Stallion later by owned by Stallion Enterprises. So they took that and re-released it and created an entire production company based on the reference from Rocky. That's how it happened. Okay.
You know,
now we know. Oh, we got to get going. It's late.
We're going to have to wrap this up. Eric, let me ask you a question. How did we go, logically, how did we go from this week in history to Die Hard 6? I mean, those two led into each other perfectly.
They make complete sense.
Then we asked the question, is 80s nostalgia too much? And we somehow ended it all with, was Sylvester Stallone in porn? How did all of this happen?
Beautifully, I have to say myself. Seamlessly, as if it was fit together like a puzzle. And that comes because, Nick, you and I, we are orators to the max.
Apparently, I am somewhat saddened and still somewhat impressed with us at the same time. It feels kind of blah inside. I feel like it's a good time to say, folks, if you've enjoyed this episode, you may have problems.
Oh, no,
Problems.
it's a good episode.
Problems that you have to admit within yourself that this is a great show. That is the problem you have to. The first step, people, is acceptance. This is what you need to do, is accept that you are listening to one of the greatest podcasts on the face of this here planet Earth, the 80s Nostalgia Podcast, Puck Podcast. Eric, where can they find us?
You can find us all over the internet. You can find us at YouTube at Pull Up a Chair Podcast. You can find us on iTunes at Pull Up a Chair Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at Pull Up a Chair Podcast. And in fact, we have our own website. It is puckpodcast.website, pucpodcast.website. Why website? Why not website?
And that is a commercial for our website. Why website?
Why not?
Why not? All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Words are hard.
Words are hard.
Episode. And we hope, you know what? Give it to a friend. Tell somebody about it. Like and subscribe. You know what? Leave us a comment. Hey, we are looking in the future to do interviews or talk to people. You know what? Leave us a comment of somebody that you would like us to talk to about 80s nostalgia.
I will get Sylvester Stallone on the phone.
I will guess he probably won't talk to us. But you know who will? Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold, no, he won't. He has not returned our calls. Anyway, thank you for listening. We hope you have a great day. And you know what? Do yourself a favor and go watch a little 80s nostalgia. And have a great day.
Sometimes I don't think you know what you're going to say until you start speaking.
I don't.
All right.
And this is the key to great oratory skills, my friend.
All right. Bye.